table even further.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, we do have BoarControl. We do see the bans coming in now. We're going to see Warrior banned out for Felkeine, and BoarControl have his Demon Hunter banned out. Felkeine is running Priest, Hunter, and then Demon Hunter as his lineup, which is a lineup I think we've seen. Have we seen that before today? I'm not sure. But BoarControl is going to be running that Warlock that you're a big fan of as well, Subtle. So we get to see the clash maybe once again between players bringing Warlock, players bringing Priest. I will say BoarControl did go out. We just saw a tweet earlier where he is not the biggest fan of Priest mirrors. And you know what? Like BoarControl or not, I respect someone who says that and doesn't bring Priest. So
yeah, hell yeah.
I'm okay with that. But if he brought Priest as well, I'd be like, no, you're not allowed to say these things.
But it was also one of those tweets that was like, oh, is it just me that, or unpopular opinion, but, and it's just a thing that everyone agrees with? It's just like, no, what are you doing? Like, quit farming engagement. I see you.
It works. Most importantly, though, we do see the lineup here. BoarControl are going to have access to that Warrior, so there's a 1-0 lead already. The Quest Warlock and Highlander Hunter again. The more I look at this and the more I look at how this lineup is working out, even just today, it seems like this might have been the way to go, Subtle. You know I'm a fan of Hunter, but maybe the Quest Warlock is the other deck that gets there versus Priest.
Yeah, this is as close to target Priest as you can probably get. He does have the Warrior in there, which again, the Priest players will tell you that they are a comfortable favourite in that matchup. Whether that's the reality or not, I'm still personally not so sure. But the other two decks, Highlander Hunter and the Quest Warlock, are about as good as it gets against Priest in the current metagame in terms of like playable decks. I'm sure you could build a deck that's like 90% against exactly Priest and be 1% against everything else, but obviously that's just not a reliable way to win Hearthstone tournaments. So in terms of like real quality meta Hearthstone decks, this is about as good as you can be against Priest, I think.
Yep, and we do see the deck there. If you're not too familiar with the Quest Warlock, it basically wants to draw a lot of cards, heal for a lot, remove some awkward minions, and then kill you suddenly when you're least expecting it. We do see the Keladan the Breaker as well, which is a card I really like. I just haven't really got to play with too much. And even just the Frozen Shadow Weaver inclusion too. And the 1 Sense Demons, which I think is a real grind. I think some players were playing 2 at one point. I think 2 Sense Demons might be going a little bit nuts. I do like the 1 overall.
Yeah, I watched Boar stream this a little bit, and his Frozen Shadow Weaver was honestly putting a lot of work in a lot of matchups. Being a way to stall out boards in the early game, it was very useful in certain spots because a lot of time playing this deck, you're like, okay, I can deal with this board on like turn 5, but right now it's turn 4. Like, how do I find this turn? And like Frozen Shadow Weaver can just buy you that gap, if you like. Of course, just plus all the original benefits that we talk about Frozen Shadow Weaver in every other deck of how strong it is against Demon Hunter and Warrior and all of these other options. So yeah, pretty strong tech card, I think.
Yeah, speaking of tech cards, we do finally see it, Subtle. Felkeine, Acidic Swampoo's in Priest. It has happened. I saw it. And I think it's going to be clutch, honestly. Like, look what BoarControl has up, right? He has Warrior and he has Hunter, both of which the Ooze can do some good work in. Because even though you might think, oh, Livewire Lance and even Ankar are not the biggest threats against Priest, you just remove the damage and the face damage capabilities, right? I think it's a pretty good choice.
Sorry, I wasn't laughing at you that time. Derek just got me in our Discord. He said, actually, there is a deck that you can bring that's 90% against Priest and still decent about everything else. It's just putting Elysiana in your Priest, and he is, of course, absolutely right.
And absolutely wrong at the same time.
Yeah.
He gets there. It sounds
we ban Elysiana from GM at this point. That's what we do. I'm just calling it now. Straight up. Just out. Get out.
I actually put that request in. I think that was last year, but I did suggest it as a very, very serious request. Again, though, we will see how this plays out overall, but we do see a Warrior left up and still showing that Demon Hunter's a real threat post-nerf, right? It's received, as you said, 13, 14, 800 nerfs in the last few weeks. But it's still very good, and I am glad it's strong. I'm glad it's still pretty good, and I'm glad it's a threat. It's definitely not something I want to see obliterated and removed from the pool of playable classes, at least. So we'll do see how it plays out. I will say on this one, in terms of just lineups, I am leaning more on BoarControl's side if this Warlock can do what it says it does. Because we have only seen it played, once on stream so far today.
Yeah, in terms of the matchups it's coming up against, though, it has the Priest matchup, which I think is fine. I would assume the Highlander Hunter mag difficult. My limited testing seems to reflect that as well. But I know just listening to Boar on stream, like he seems to like the Rogue matchup as the Quest Warlock quite a lot, and that's not a matchup that he's running into here. So I don't know how well positioned it is in this particular series, but still, it's a deck that I'm totally here for, and a deck that I would love to see get more popular because I think it's incredibly interesting, incredibly exciting.
Yeah, and honestly, funnily enough, in my experience with Highlander Hunter versus the Quest Warlock, it actually feels close. Yeah, you get those games with Highlander Hunter where you just kill them, and they've not drawn their heal. But the second they don't just die, you're in trouble because they end up just like double Moag healing for 16.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, how am I supposed to just make up 16 damage when I've got like 2 cards in my hand, right? So they do have the capability to outlast, and I don't think it's as straightforward as, say, some of the older Hunter versus Warlock matchups where they do just consistently die. Just take an update there on the divisions and how they're looking. Especially with Silvername getting that win makes that look a little bit safer for him, as now he's got friends at the bottom of the table. And the same with Zim there, although he's not quite caught up yet with Boston getting the win as well. He is still looking like it's a little bit more possible to just be in. But look at that, Division B, 2nd place to 7th place, all 2 and 2. I would not want to be in Division B right now.
I know, it's ridiculous, right? Like it's just happening again. This is exactly the scenario that was developing in like week 5, 6, 7 of European Grandmasters last year, where the relegation spots at the bottom of Division A, I think it was back then, before they were split in terms of a tiered system. It was literally just arbitrary A and B. But I think it was in Division A. Where Orange and Swids came all the way down to the last day. But even before that, I think, days before that, it was like a 4-way race for relegation. And we spent hours just crunching tiebreakers on the last week, just making sure we had this all down and just ways to, explain it to the audience in ways that made sense as games were progressing. And it really does look like we're heading that way again with Division B in Europe Grandmasters.
Well, I look forward to deferring to your expertise in that outcome because honestly, didn't have to worry about that too much last year. So it was pretty good and dry.
Imagine being an APAC caster, Raven. It's so much easier.
I don't have to imagine, Sol. I lived it 2 whole seasons.
I know.
BoarControl versus Felkeine is going to be coming up, and we are going to get that matchup. And it's a matchup I'm very interested in seeing more of. Yes, it includes Priest, but it does not include 2 Priests, so we're okay. It's going to be the Warlock for BoarControl on the top there, the Quest variety. Felkeine is going to, of course, be on that Galakrond Priest on the bottom. I'm going to sling you a question, Subtle. For the Warlock, what are you looking for in this matchup, do you think? Do you think it's just a consistent mull for plot twist, or do you want to be a bit more active?
I would imagine it's pretty close to Questing Explorer, plot twist and nothing else. I can't really foresee myself keeping any other card in this matchup.
Like some straightforward mulligans.
Yep.
Do you have this card? No, mulligan for it.
Yep.
Although that, actually, nice. It does pick up the plot twist there. But that is an approach I think more people need to adopt, at least in, the not pro tiers of Hearthstone, of just get like 2 to 3 cards for every matchup. If you don't have them, just mulligan. I think that would increase a lot of people's win rate.
So I like this from Boar. It maximizes his card draw by going, instead of playing Questing Explorer on 2, you can often play it on 4 with a life tap. You can't do that on coin unless you play some other card at some point, because you'll end up overdrawing. But it does still maximize card draw, which against Priest is very good. Other matchups, you want the 2-3 on board to contest, but contesting with a 2-3 here just kind of gives a target for Felkeine to like shoot penance at this turn or something and get value, right? So I like Boar just going through maximizing card draw with the life tap.
Of course it's the right way.
Let's plays it on 2 instead. As I said, you can't do the curve of just tap, questing tap, because you will burn a card if you're on coin.
Yeah, and just checking out Felkeine's Priest for any big differences. There was the Ooze, of course, that I mentioned. But honestly, the Ooze and 1 Shadow Madness is the only thing that sticks out. Still the 2 Thought Steals, still the 2 Shadow Word Death, 2 Sethic, so on. So yeah, it really is just 1 Shadow Madness, 1 Ooze, and everything else is a 2-op. quite lines up this turn. I did wonder whether he was just going to actually like Moag and then Nether Breath. And just keep the second thing quickly.
Yeah, that's fair. It's an enormous health swing though, right? Like it's just the Warlock combo being used against them, essentially, later in the game, if it does come down to that. But again, it doesn't always come down to that, because you can be at 30 and then just die if they've hit the right 0 mana cards. So sometimes you just don't even get the opportunity to be able to heal. So yeah, I like Felkeine not getting too precious about keeping that combo together for healing.
And I think as well, even in the late game against Warlock, there's no read a lot of the time whether they've got 0 mana this or 0 mana that, is there? You've just got to, well, if they got question, how many times have they tapped? And then you don't know.
Have they plot twisted recently? Because if they plot twist, there was a good chance they didn't have like high quality 0 cost cards in their hand.
But beyond that, you've kind of just got to play the best game you can, right? Because if they have it, they have it, and you die if you've not already won. So that's just the way the deck goes sometimes. But I do think there's a worry of overreading the situation. Be like, oh well, if they have like 0 mana Alexstrasza and Malygos Soulfire, then you know I can die. It's like, well, yes, you can die. There's nothing you can do about it, right? Like, just don't worry. Play the game.
Yeah, if this deck hits the nuts, you're dead. Like, it's that simple. Just forget about it. You're just dead. Weird turn for Boar. Sense Demons will burn. Plot Twist is a little bit awkward in the scenario. He can't tap because he will also burn a card. So yeah, it just ends up being a pass because just nothing really lined up particularly well there.
Also, frustratingly enough, I think this is one of the few matchups that I think Abyssal Summoner is really bad in. Because it's slow enough that it opens them straight into Time Rip, straight, that death target. And honestly, just because most decks run 2 deaths, 2 Time Rips, it's just, you end up with a 2/2 that actually just normally gives something to them.
Sure.
Plot twist here?
He is going to plot twist here. He's also just going to chuck an Onasi Broodmother in the bin just to be able to get the full plot twist going, which fair enough. I was just gonna say, it looks silly, but like it's a perfectly fine play to make in the scenario, just to maximize card draw off the quest instead at the cost of 1 demon in your hand.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize that. I'm not sure if you can correct me, but did it not heal because it burned?
Correct. Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay, I thought so. It's just the way I glanced at it, the animation looked a little bit off for me. I just wanted to double check, but yeah, it's kind of funny that it actually has to be drawn to hand to use its effect. It has a very unique effect, right?
It does, yeah. It is, so I mean, obviously losing 1/4/6 in this matchup is not going to be relevant at all. The downside is that you also lose a lot of potential healing, right? Like, it's just a card that you're not going to draw again and heal again. It's a card that you're not going to plot twist into again and heal again. But again, Priest, not the most aggressive deck in the game. Boar should be fine with the amount of healing that he has left over in his deck.
I wonder.
Awkward thing as well is Felkaine's Moag Artificer is also buffing BoarControl's removal on his side of the board, as it is a double effect. I was wondering to the extent of where just Apotheosis go. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it does happen, okay. Just because I think the Priest does have to put the Quest Warlock under pressure. I think Felkaine's very rightly just gone, well, the rest of my turn doesn't look good anyway. Why not just hit him and create a 6 health minion to deal with? It's also not weak to Nether Breath, right? Oh, okay, well, it kind of is weak to Nether Breath Moag, but there's not much you can do about that right now.
Maybe this was the downside of playing the Moag as a 2/4 way back when Felkeine did it, is that like BoarControl's quite cleverly manipulated the situation where it's just like, all right, I'm just going to leave that thing there and use it to leverage my own removal.
So BoarControl's got Plot Twist again in hand. Means he can accelerate this quest quite dramatically.
Oh, he's done. He's on like 17, or let me check. He's on 18 already. So there's no way. Like that plot twist is going to be like a bailout instead.
Yeah, he can just save it, right, to shuffle in the Malygos, for example, post-quest.
Yep.
Malygos and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza is there.
Oh, wow, he does do it. Okay, sure.
I guess he had them in, right? I guess, like, he was shuffling a full cost Malian and a full cost Dragon Queen Alexstrasza.
Yeah, okay. I see. It makes sense now because like the key point here is that he gets to get an extra 0 mana life tap in this turn, which he wouldn't have done otherwise. So I'm behind this now. I totally didn't see it until it happened, but this does make sense.
Fate Weaver not active yet. The invokes aren't yet there, but again, the emphasis is pretty much just on Felkeine to make something happen. BoarControl's given time. That's what he wants. He wants to be able to slow play this. And there's the Moarg. Why, thank you, sir. I will just easily deal with this poor one.
Oh! Hang on. That's a lot of damage already.
I like the way it's like one tap. Wait, is he dead?
Yeah. That's this deck in a nutshell. Did I kill him?
Not quite yet.
No.
Closer.
And again, this matchup is such a comfortable situation that I imagine Boar will look for guaranteed situations instead of spots that like rely on double Soulfire or whatever. But shout out to Language Hacker, by the way, who corrected me earlier when I was talking about how Zim took a non-guaranteed setup. Language Hacker alerted me that he could have just plot twist if he whiffed, and then was almost certain to find another piece of burn after that, even if he had discarded the Zephyrus.
And that's, I think, something that might be missed by players who aren't too familiar with this deck, is Rain of Fire with Malygos is a good chunk of damage, right?
Yep.
It's something maybe people forget that Rain of Fire hits face for one as well, and if it hits face, well, it's 6 so...
It actually comes up really often, because if you're on coin with this deck, quite often you'll just shuffle the coin into your deck with Plot Twist, just because it's an extra card, right? Being plot twisted, so great, that's what you're interested in. So then at some point in the late game, you redraw a coin. So then you have like Alexstrasza your opponent to 15, and then Mali, Coin, Rain of Fire, Soulfire is exactly 15, with like no discounted cards whatsoever. He's just back on the Artificer train. So, all right, I've got my Nether Breath. I'm locked and loaded and ready to go once again.
He does have the dragon as well, which is important, obviously. He didn't have that earlier on.
Yeah. There's slim pickings for dragons in Priest. There's just the 2 Fate Weavers and the Murazond that they start with.
And he already played a Fate Weaver earlier, right? Just as a tempo play. What was that? Oh, 0 mana. Is he just
0
dead?
mana burn.
Oh. So there's actually what? So say the Soulfires work. There's 8, there's 10, there's 14, right? Right now, if the Soulfires work on a full turn of mana.
Wait, is there 2 Rain of Fires?
Yep.
Oh, there is. Oh, sorry, I'm being so stupid. For some reason, I'm like trying to work out Boar's hand from the upside down view on my spectator client, as opposed to just looking at our feed.
Although, I will say, Mortal Coil and Rain of Fires, when close together, look eerily similar.
They do, yeah.
Can we get an art check on those cards?
Yeah.
And this is what you brought up earlier, and I think it's a really good point. Who cares if you're on 30 as this Warlock, right? If your opponent's on 30, because it helps that it's exactly the Alexstrasza, but the damage capabilities are absurd if you hit something with this hero power. So now, Boar not bothered if Felkeine heals to full every single turn, because he's going to die in 1. Maybe this is just a tap and he can play the Kellydan.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, I was considering it too. I think Boar wants more mana flexibility though, to be able to see his life tap, because he has to play a card first before he taps. That's guaranteed? Question? Hang on. Alexstrasza to 15, he then has 2 from Rain of Fires, Netherwing to 5. No, he's still not guaranteed. Yeah. Okay.
Close though! Oh, also it wouldn't work, right? Because he has to Alexstrasza first, he doesn't have a second dragon.
Oh, good catch. Yeah, very good catch.
Sure. And one thing that's sure, BoarControl's close. And we'll be saying that every turn until the game ends, because he just is.
Yeah. This is just like the most inevitable waiting game I've ever seen in my life.
Look what I brought!
Attack again. Artificer is nothing.
It's almost funny that the natural draw off the top, you actually want to kind of be bad a lot of the time for this Warlock post-quest. Because you want the tap to be the good draw, right? Not the actual natural one.
Yeah.
Although for now, obviously, if BoarControl gets Malygos in this instance, it doesn't matter because he already has the Alexstrasza. But I'm just saying, in general, with the deck, it's weird that you don't want your top deck to be good. You want your tap to be
right. It's a weird thing to process, right? That like even if you're like got like the last 4 cards in your deck are like Dragon Queen, regular Alex, Malygos, and like something else insane, you still only get 50% of those cards discounted, right?
Yes.
So like.
Or using this, I'll say, burn options pretty freely because he just has enough anyway, especially with the 0-mana Nether Breath. He has the damage, he just needs the Malygos. 6 cards, he's going to be able to draw 2 next turn. But if he doesn't hit, if he hits the Malygos it's kind of like a win-win if he draws Malygos next turn, right? If he hits the card naturally, it's fine. If he doesn't hit it naturally, it means he's tapped into it, which means it's 0, so it's even more.
Yep. Because he has 0-mana Alex, and then also crucially a 0-cost piece of burn as well with the Nether Breath, then 9-mana Mali is fine. That's just gotta work. That's gotta be lethal. I'm not even gonna bother working it out. Yeah.
So realistic though. Alex. He's just doing this because he can. Why not?
He did just get the second dragon for Netherwing. I don't know if that actually ends up being important or not.
That goes there. Nether Breath's down to 8. Yeah, and then...
Yeah, he Soulfires. If Soulfire gets discarded, he has Zeph. If Zeph gets discarded, he has Soulfire.
Wow.
So he's covered.
And honestly, Felkeine's face sums this series up on his side of the board, doesn't it? He almost felt like he didn't even get to play that game. There was not enough pressure on BoarControl for him to be overly worried. Yes, BoarControl got some good taps. Yes, he got some good plot twists to activate the quest relatively quickly. But that's what the deck does, right? Like that's what the deck's built to do. And that looked pretty one-sided. And if that's any indication of the matchup in general, we might see next week a further shake-up of maybe people that step off Priest or start banning Warlock. I don't even know anymore. The meta's really nutty right now, Sol.
Just in case that happens, here's a free piece of advice. If you're thinking a lot of people are going to bring Quest Warlock next week, just put Wrench Caliber in your Warrior. I know your Warrior isn't going to get played anyway, but literally Wrench Caliber on its own beats that deck, as far as I can see, because it just messes with them in so many ways. But yeah, I'm glad at least like my surface assessment of the matchup seems to be on point, where every game you get plot twist, it's like a walk in the park for the Warlock. And then we saw it in the previous series as well, where we saw the same matchup with no plot twist, but it was slightly more difficult, but it still got over the line, which seems to be where I'm at in that matchup, is like the Priest has a chance if there's no plot twist, which makes it a pretty bad looking matchup.
It really does. But that was just game number 1 between BoarControl and Felkeine. We've got plenty more where that came from. And just a reminder, this is our last match of the day, but there's Americas that's going to be following up straight after us as usual. So if you've just tuned in recently, there's plenty more Hearthstone for the rest of the day for you to tune into. But for now, we are going to go to a break while the players get ready for game number 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more Hearthstone Grandmasters.
Okay, so if I could instantly be an expert in anything, what would it be?
Gosh, what's important to me? Interviews, because it would be useful like about right now.
English expert, because I can understand and answer your question more easily.
I would try to be a pilot because that's something I've always wanted to do when I was young.
I think I'd really like to be a snowboarder. That seems like fun.
I'll probably like to be a movie director.
If I was going to instantly become an expert in anything, it would be in meditation.
Well, I'm studying architecture, so I would like to skip all the years I have left and become an architect already.
Chess. It's a game I played a lot when I was younger, but I've taken more of an interest in it lately, and I'm a lot worse at that than I am at Hearthstone.
I would love to become an expert at cooking, like hands down. I'd get so fat. I watch cooking shows at home all the time, and I just drool at looking at my television.
We are back to continue BoarControl versus Felkeine here, and BoarControl went off the back of a win with his Warlock in pretty convincing fashion, actually. So I imagine we are going to start seeing maybe even more Quest Warlocks on ladder in the following week if this performance is anything to go by. But Felkeine, by no means out yet. It's only 1-0 to BoarControl, so Felkeine has his Demon Hunter, his Priest, and his Highlander Hunter left to go, and it does look like he's going to be looking in this Highlander Hunter. So.
It does. Just looking at the way it curves out, I will do your job for you, Raven. He's playing a copy of Nagrand Slam. Ha! Now what are you going to talk about? But yeah, apart from that, pretty standard opener. We've seen a list, I think both in APAC and in Americas, that's been playing an extra Worgen Infiltrator in the 1-drop slot, just to be able to more consistently deal with Demon Hunter minions, I guess. Just 2-1 stealth is incredibly effective in that matchup. Similar to Spy Mistress in Rogue, very similar effect. But this is looking like pretty just old school stuff here from Felkeine.
Yeah, it is. There is the Boom Pistol Bully in there, which is not the most standard card to be used in Highlander Hunter, but both players are bringing it. But a tut for ball controllers, there is no Nagrand Slam.
Damn it!
His list.
He still found a way! Still found a way!
But yeah, but the extra 1-drop thing is interesting, right? Neither of these players are going for it by the looks of things, but I actually still quite like the Orc Merchant as an option in Hunter.
Sure.
Yeah, that's some good uses for it, but still, both players playing the Imprisoned Felmore, so we'll see how that pans out. But both players are also having access to the Acidic Swamp Ooze, which can really mix things up if one of them gets the Stormhammer or not. But let's get into it. Game number 2. Both players on Highlander Hunter. See how it shakes out. Felkeine. He's got a pretty fantastic opening hand, actually.
Yeah, not bad coming back the other way now from Boar. Dwarven Sharpshooter going first is huge. Does lose a lot of impact in aggro mirrors when you're going second, because quite often they can just develop out ahead of it.
Absolutely infuriating start if you're Felkeine right now. Such a good opener, completely nullified by BoarControl playing one little dwarf. Okay, well, not completely nullified, because if BoarControl hero powers, obviously he doesn't get to play 2-drops, but still, just knowing you're playing a 1-drop to just die, and it doesn't cost BoarControl a card, is a little bit rough.
Also, world first, no coin Imprisoned Felmore.
Guess it just made this follow-up worse?
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, right? Normally you'd coin Felmore. I mean, you'd coin Felmore a lot of the time anyway, but you'd coin Felmore into 2 here, and then Boar would just still get to shoot your follow-up 2-drop. It just doesn't feel great.
And also, Misha. Pretty sick outcome, considering Felkeine was sat with Zigzor in hand.
Yep.
And these are the tough calls. You might have to just, go for the Desert Spear and base tank. Ouch, ouch.
This is one of the largest yikes I've seen all day. Felkeine's turn was take 4, do nothing, based on BoarControl's response right now.
It does set up the rest of his hand though, right? And that's why he's done it. This is a turn that hurts, but he has to make this play. The frustration is if the Felmore then just attacks the Misha, he's going to be heartbreaking. But if it doesn't, and he didn't attack, he almost loses the game there and then. It's the problem. So unfortunately for Felkeine, he has to cover his bases, however painful that may be. I actually really like just double 2-drop here. It's not Swamp Ooze in the Stormhammer, but you are getting rid of the Desert Spear, which is a nightmare to deal with also. And most importantly, it just gives more options for this Felmore to just trade into bad minion.
Yeah, that's the play I was referring to when I said that Felkeine had essentially done take 4 damage, do nothing, because the weapon just immediately gets shut down. I think Boar had to think that turn about whether he wanted, how he was going to respond to all of the Felmore attacks coming out the other way. But he should be comfortable. He has Corrosive Breath into Zigzor as a follow-up here if he doesn't want to go Faceless Corruptor. That should be able to allow him to take care of most things on the board. Boar looks very unhappy about something.
not sure what. I'd be loving life if I was sat on your side of this board, honestly. I have a great way to deal with this.
I was curious about whether he was concerned about losing his dragon activator for the corrosive breath, but that really just doesn't seem like a big deal to me right now.
Well, now I actually wonder if it's just trade in the ooze and then go face and just faceless corrupt it. We just have 2 4/4s. Like, what does Hunter do versus 2 4/4s with an empty board?
Is that better than 2 3/2s and a 2/4?
2 3 2. Wait, hang.
You can just shoot the guy, not do the face damage, and then just play Zigzor, right? And just push 6 more.
You push 3 more, right?
But okay, you push 6, I guess is what I'm saying.
I know, I just think having the 4/4s are just they're almost unkillable for Hunter. I mean, both are good, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying your play rubbish, it would lose him the game. I just think here, it's just 2 4/4s, they're just unkillable. Although...
Unless...
Now that you mention it... Okay, not having a good time, though. He might actually, to win this game, have to just Dragon Bane coin hero power. Is that too silly?
No. Honestly, it seems like the only play.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it feels bad, but I think this is the only thing that even has a chance at winning Felkeine game. And the winner is... Okay. Ooh, good pickup, actually. If he wants to kill the Dragon Bane.
Yeah, which I'm assuming he is interested in.
BoarControl's trying to work out how he makes the scavengers work, or not work. He could also just scavengers into the
Griffin.
The Griffin and just go forth for face, which I'm not going to be too upset about either. Because I think if he's already this far ahead, pushing face damage is huge. You can almost hero power Felkeine down.
Boar's list, though, just looking at it, so he doesn't have the secret, so he doesn't have the Face Stalker. Does he have the Mana Saver? No, he doesn't either. Okay.
So he would get the Griffin every time. Is he going to just go face and ignore this?
Okay. Nah, he's trading, right?
Right, okay.
He's trading. He's trading. Shadow Madness? It's the nuts here, right?
It will offer, right?
Should do. Be surprised if it doesn't.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep. Huge swing for Felkeine now. He has a modicum of board control.
Ooh, good turn to drop Boom Pistol, though.
Oh, it is actually a huge
Going into turn 7.
Yep. Sight unseen. We can see that Felkeine not really having great ways to take advantage of it. Don't say Acidic Swampoo. But from Boar's perspective, that is a potentially huge draw. I mean, more so because it's just potentially 5 damage than anything else in this position. There's that deadly shot you were talking about earlier, though, Raven. The Scavenger's Ingenuity will have to be so tempting in that spot when you have 2 primes in your deck currently. But Felkeine, I think, correctly recognizing he cannot take 5 there.
I also think that's why it's not tempting, because he could whiff and get the little one and not the big one, right? Has he played both?
Yeah, he has 2 primes.
Oh, sorry,
in his deck.
sorry, yeah. A lot of people call it prime when they just mean the small one as well. It confuses me.
Yep.
But the yeah, you're right. Sorry, yeah, he's put both in, hasn't he? I thought he'd only put the one he stole from Boring, but no, you're completely right. That would be tempting. But the problem is he might just die. He's got a lot of health to catch up on.
Yeah, he just emphatically cannot take 5 there.
Yes.
I wonder.
So if his Ingenuity draws his Griffin, does his Griffin draw anything?
Nope.
Unlucky.
Quickly.
It's one of the reasons why I actually quite like Griffin draw earlier. It's just a quick cheap kill, push 4 more. Obviously there are downsides to that, but a little bit unfortunate he did lose his Zigsaw, but Zephyr's going to come down now on an empty board and drop the good old-fashioned high main. Oh, I've missed you, buddy.
Yeah, good sequencing from Boar as well. Just kills the minion first, just so he's fully letting Zeph know that he just wants board development this turn. He doesn't want anything to react to the minion.
So unfortunately it looks like Felkeine does have to go for the Corrosive Breath then into the big old whelp. Doesn't really have the flexibility to draw first and review. And then he's pretty much just reliant on Alex Straza into Mazzari at this point.
Don't like saying no. No. His Alex Straza isn't even active because he has 2 primes in his deck.
Oh, you're right!
Yep.
Completely right!
Yep.
Oof. That's not good. I was going to say, I hate saying, oh, well, dude, Mazzari, but he genuinely was the only out if Alex Straza was active, but you are completely right. Alex Straza is not active. There's a kill command, but unfortunately, we're 1 turn away from that Grand Slam.
Yeah, I've got to say, Raven, it's not looked too impressive this game, just being stuck in the hand the whole time.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with BoarControl's opener or anything like that. It was... But yeah, we'll see there. BoarControl taking the win. 2-0 so far over Felkeine. One more game left potentially. Lead to a very quick 3-0 victory. And he has his warrior to do so. Is it just a given now, Subtle? These are the rules of the day. Warrior plays, warrior wins. Can't really dispute it.
Yeah, I'd love to see the Priest come out here from Felkeine, just purely because I want to get that Priest win rate against Warrior up. I think it's an absolutely ridiculous, like 1-5, I want to say, right now, in Grandmasters against Warrior, which is completely against, what popular opinion of the matchup seems to be. Although most people would agree that since the transition has gone over to the Grom list, that Warrior has gained some percentage in the matchup, but still, in most people's opinion, not enough to be favored.
Yeah, and also, I think there's that combined with the Moags, meaning the priests aren't healing tons as much anymore either, so that there's not a chance of them pushing themselves out of that range. So it's a bit of a double whammy, but unfortunately, Subtle, at least for now, we're not going to get Priest. We're going to get Warrior versus Demon Hunter. And I am very intrigued with this Warrior mulligan in this matchup. I feel like I hear 100 different things. What about like Warrior mulligans in general, but Warrior mulligans in Demon versus Demon Hunter specifically?
You talk about like keep Armor Smith versus throw Armor Smith specifically. Yeah, there's a lot of arguments about this for sure.
And I've told you my side. My side is I keep Armor Smith because I feel like I just lose every game because I don't have an Armor Smith. And that's of course me being very silly and not at all being just analytical, but just being driven by the heart. But still, it's just how I feel. But yeah, we did see BoarControl keep the Armor Smith there.
Yeah, to me, the Armor Smith is like auxiliary in this matchup. It's nice if it happens. Like if the Skipper Armor Smith thing happens, great. But generally, I just win by winning board more often than not. So that's generally how I mulligan. But Felkeine here also, I do want to give a shout out to him because this is something that some people who've been leaving up Warrior previously haven't really been doing. He's at least clearly considering playing against Warrior with all of his decks, because now we're seeing Acidic Swampoos in his Demon Hunter as well as in his Priest. So this is clearly something that he has heavily considered, that leaving Warrior up does just kind of suck, so he should just scrape and scramble for ways to gain advantage here.
Yeah, Felkeine, I don't want to say playing a wacky list of Demon Hunter, but probably close to it as far as it's going to get. He's playing the Swampoos, which we can see. He's playing Beam and Sidekicks, tick that box. But he's playing 2 Sightless Watchers, 1 Spectral Sight, 1 Eye Beam, and 2 evil pair of scoundrels, which to me is a wacky version of Demon Hunter right now, just because there's a lot of different cards in there.
That does sound somewhat wacky, I will agree.
Hey!
Okay. I don't think that's actually particularly good for Boar right here.
Yeah, he probably wanted to play this challenger, didn't he?
Yeah. So now the problem is, if he just leaves it like this, Felkeine can pretty comfortably just kill that Armorsmith with most hands and just keep developing, and then Boar's just further behind. But if he develops anything alongside it, Felkeine can just pass, and then Boar really doesn't have great follow-up. Yeah, one more challenge is great. Go on.
Challenger over 1-1. Not how to lose.
Okay, alright.
Is that like the ultimate, like, the ball's in your court, friend, because I don't want to think about this. Then, like, what do you even do as Felkeine? Do you kill the Doomsayer and let him have a warm or challenger? BoarControl. Just gonna armor up instead. You loving that plan, Sol? Well, you can admit it.
It was delightfully stupid, yeah. I was really quite into it.
Exactly what I was aiming for.
Playing Warglaives?
Is he just going face?
Wait, what? I'm very confused by that.
I challenge you.
Just value the damage. I will say, a lot of the matchups I've had here, and me playing as the warrior, I have had a fair few where I just get killed. So maybe that's the plan. Maybe the Doomsayers for Felkeine is just like, okay, you work with nothing on board.
Okay, so actually, I think he's just thinking what I was thinking, but the other way around. Because he could have played Satyr Overseer, Twin Slice Hero Power, and then just killed the Doomsayer that turn and got Satyr Overseer value at the same time. But Felkeine, by playing the Warglaives first, was now able to like react to the board that BoarControl made while making Satyr Overseer tokens at the same time.
And pushing damage as well. Like, you know, pump a lot of damage forward as well. 7 damage.
Nope, never mind. Yeah, he's just going straight face. He's just going straight face.
Job's done. He's just effectively playing the combo Demon Hunter again.
Yep.
He's just...
Yep, Boar with the face of a man that just got weaponed for 10.
And then face for 10 too. Oh. There isn't any metamorphosis yet, but Felkeine might not need it. and Felkeine's just like, can't risky skipper down my board if I don't make a board. Ultimate next level plays. It's just more damage. Does he even want to play this Glavebound? He's using it to kill the Gorgon. That makes more sense. I was wondering if he's ever on the mindset of Glavebound's burst damage, and if I don't play a minion, then he can't trade minions in if he has an Armorsmith and no skipper.
Right.
Which is reasonable. I think it's a reasonable plan, right? If you don't give him anything to trade into it.
Yeah, it's very fair. Oh my god! What was that game?
Total never believes me when I say things, but sometimes Demon Hunter just kills you.
That was not a legal game of Hearthstone. I refuse to believe that happened.
Got video evidence that it in fact did happen, Sol.
Just that face. That's what we get
like...
at the end of it. Okay.
Nice approach to the game there. Pretty unique style there, going, oh, Doomsayer, this could be good for me. Or it could be worse for BoarControl. Give him an empty board, no minions to work with either side of the board. And we see, just because of BoarControl's hand, it did pay off, actually, of just saying, well, you can't play Armorsmith because now there's no minions to kill. You can't do any risky skipper stuff because you don't have one. And to be fair, with no Ankai, he knows it's as unlikely as it's ever going to be that he doesn't have one. So it's just... And to be fair, his hand with Warglaives, with all that damage with Twin Slice, did kind of just say go face as well, and he dealt with the challenger in one swing, which is impressive in itself as well. So I don't know, the game was weird, but he got there. So fair play to Felkeine. Pretty weird choice, but it worked.
So the only way I have to challenge that, right, is I do like the part who said, okay, you haven't seen Ankar, he probably doesn't have Risky Skipper, he probably can't do the Armor Smith Burst thing. Like, yeah, sure, that makes sense. If you're kind of saying, oh, he probably doesn't have Risky Skipper, doesn't, like, making the big Satyr Overseer just win the game without top-decking Metamorphosis in that position if he doesn't have Risky Skipper to be able to clear it?
What about Armor Smith's second Warmaul challenger or something? I don't know.
Okay. I mean, that's 2 armor. Doesn't sound that great.
Maybe 2 armor, but then he's got to kill the Armor Smith, right?
Yeah, sure.
I'm being silly, but
I don't know. It was a weird game. It was a weird game. It clearly worked for Felkeine. The decision to go face against the Doomsayer and just let it go off was strange. The decision to just deal 10 to the Warmaul Challenger when he drew the second Chaos Strike, I can get behind that a lot more because that just seems fine, right? Like, there's just a freaking 110. You can kill it and deal 10 to face. That seems great. But yeah, the way the game panned out was definitely pretty unusual.
It really was. But honestly, I mean, you know this, right? The difference between a warrior having a minion on board and not is massive, isn't it? At the start of the turn, I mean, so... Yeah, really weird game, really well played there from Felkeine. It did pay off, and Warrior took a loss for the first time in the history of this expansion, so congratulations. World first, Warrior kill. And now, the game's going to heat up pretty quickly as we've gone straight into the next one. It's going to be the Highlander Hunter against BoarControl's Warrior, and honestly, this matchup makes me cry a little bit as the Hunter. I find it very difficult.
Nice. I just like hearing about you being sad. That's, just makes me happy.
Nice. Yeah, I like hearing about you being happy, so yeah. It works.
Wait, hang on. There's a paradox here.
Job's done. Rotnest is pretty nice, especially considering the setup here in turn R2 with Felkeine's Dormant Minion plus the 2/3 poison. It's likely can keep this board at least reasonably clear. BoarControl.
Your flaws are your strength.
Still, he's going to be like minus a 3/9 here, though, right?
He is, yeah. Could have just gone Ankar and traded in the 1/2 instead, but I guess then because the 5/4 is proccing this turn, he's then just like leaves good attacks on the board, whereas this way he's like built a board better to contest the 5/4 that's coming out.
Yeah, this is good. This will give him pain, right?
Should give him pain, yep.
Yeah, this is really good. These are the kind of way you want the early game to go if you're going to win this matchup with Hunter. Because somehow he's actually ahead on board.
Mm-hmm.
This Rotnest to follow up is huge. Not only because it kills a minion, but just 5 health for Warrior to deal with, and that's pretty hard. It almost just doesn't matter what the Rotnest hits, honestly, here. I guess there are other options. He could pre-equip the Desert Spear, kill 1 minion with it. He can then use the Scavengers to just draw, or play the Dragon. Now that he has a big old whelp, he could back up Fairy Dragon here. He does just die to the weapon.
Could also just play Scavengers and just play the 3-cost beast that gets drawn.
True. Kind of rough if it's the Griffin, though, isn't it? It's only 3 health, remember?
Mm-hmm. That's why I like that sequencing, right? You do it, you see what you get, and then you decide on Desert Spear. You just Desert Spear versus whichever beast you draw.
Yeah, seems good. And this is, honestly, for me, tipped over the edge by the fact that he has the Faceless Corruptor in hand. I think if he didn't have Faceless Corruptor, I'd probably just snap the Rotnest there.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It's just such a good combination.
Mm-hmm. And there's still the chance that there's an extra swing as well for Varanus turns, if he draws it.
What now?
Well, this hand is doing a fat load of nothing right now for Boar, I can tell you that much.
It's one of those moments where Boar probably wished he got hold of a Livewire Lance instead, right? Because yes, he's got the Pirates, but probably need Lackeys to do something a little bit crazier here.
Yeah. I mean, he really wishes he would have just had Corsair Cash on 2, so then he would have any 3-attack weapon. He could have just smacked the poisonous minion. It's been much simpler.
Do you think he just goes with bombs now? Trade, and then Bomb Wrangler with risky switch.
Someone's gonna lead the charge.
Huh.
Okay.
Treasure? Loot? What more can I ask for?
Just leaving the 5/4 up, that terrifies me.
I'm okay with this though. I think Boar needs to wait for a better payoff with these risky skippers before he can really go in, or at least until the situation is more desperate than it is now.
Okay. I wonder if he's actually going to go Griffin Zixar here. Seems to do a very similar job, and he gets to save Faceless for more emergencies.
How much health can you preserve on your minions, though, would be my question. Do you have the Desert Spear attacks as well? It does seem like this whole board just gets softened up pretty nicely for a risky skipper clear on the other side. Which you know is coming, right? Because you've seen so many Ankar swings at this point.
But it does still mean he still has swing Faceless Corruptor next turn anyway.
That's true. Yeah, good point.
Quickly.
I just think this puts a good draw into the deck as well if he chooses to actually kill off the 6 or to the 4-2, which I think I would. Oh, okay, he's preserving the 6 or preserving a bit more health on board. Doesn't get cleared as easily.
I'll show you who's boss.
Yeah, here we go with the risky skipper and the bombs.
It's clear, makes bombs. No real payoff card outside of this.
You're probably a little bit annoyed he can't armor up as well.
Yeah.
As it's starting to get to the point where he's dying and he's worried about Brand next turn. He's very close to just being dead.
Felkeine knows, of course, that there are 2 Sky Pirates on deck. So he knows his board does go bye-bye, no matter what, if Boar wants it to.
Small bonuses, he knows that those are at literally 1 mana, make risky skipper go off. Because the minions obviously don't stick around.
Yeah.
So at least there's not even wider development on the board, which then makes Rot Nest a little bit better, but probably still not good enough.
So I think what Boar's thinking about here is whether he wants to attack a minion, A, at all, and B, whether he wants to do it first. Right, so by waiting there, he doubles the chances that the bomb can hit one of the minions as opposed to going face, but he leaves himself in the unfortunate scenario of sometimes having to hit the bigger minion with his weapon to get the clear afterwards. In reality, neither of those things happened. He just had to blow up his own entire board as well. But with the Unleash the Hounds drawn off the top from Felkeine, that might not have been the worst thing in the world for Boar.
Yep. Yeah, agreed. Unleash was one of those weird cards that kind of benefits from a risky skipper turn sometimes. It doesn't include an Armor Smith, I guess. I still think here it might be face, hero power with Faceless. Oh, he's going to go this way. I think this would work.
Why not? Sorry, I liked this. What's your problem? What's your problem, boy? What's your objection to that play, I should say?
Objection!
Yeah.
So I might have been wrong in my objection at first because the weapon exists. Off the top, I was thinking, well, he just dies to a Grom any prop, but he did with weapon anyway. I was just wondering if he could actually save his Fairy Dragon instead and go in with, like, saying having 2 4/4s on board to charge into the bomb.
Right.
Mean that it's more likely the bomb hits the minions and not face.
Okay, sure. Well, so I think the way Felkeine did it, he played the Fairy Dragon because he did want the bomb to hit a minion, ideally, and not his face, because of course Felkeine is also extremely low himself. But he also wanted big things on board at the end of the turn, right? So he could threaten lethal the other way. So I think what he did is like the best happy medium in terms of doing that.
Yeah, it's weird now, right? Because in this instance, because of just the way it happened to shake out, he is actually just dead to Grom next turn if he doesn't kill this risky skipper.
Yeah.
He does have Unleash and Rot Nest if he wants to cushion against Bomb. He wants to trade.
Right now there's 4 on board. Boar has 3 more from Corsair Cash. Boar is also fully clenched right now. Where do these dogs go, Raven?
I'm just wondering if he wants to Rot Nest first, right? Because he doesn't want to hit the egg. To dodge the egg, hit anything else, and then the dogs do a better job, yeah. Oh my. That's kind of good and bad, right? Okay. In some worlds, that's bad. Well, 4 damage to your 5 health minion kind of sucks. Just quiet for a second then while I worked out whether that was lethal or not.
Nope.
Yeah, still not even if he gets the Kobold Lackey, right?
Nope. 1 off. Can't play Cash and get the other Livewire Lance and play that and play Corcoran and play Kobold Lackey. That's 1,000,000 mana. Way too much.
Oh!
Okay.
I think he still trades into the 6-1, right?
Taunt the Egg, trade the 6-1. Oh, good. Okay. Value trade? Value trade, question mark?
I can get behind it. It's just, if there's any way for this egg to die, this 6-1 just instas him. Whereas if you trade, yes, it puts BoarControl further away, but he has stuff to do, and armor up, most importantly.
Yeah. But you don't have lethal set up the other way, so you're kind of like getting inevitability. Yeah, I think the value trade is nonsense. I think Face is where I'm at as well. I think that makes the most sense. Because Boar just has to have a lethal setup of his own.
So this big old whelp can be played no matter what this turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then worst case, deadly shot for the egg. Go.
Yeah.
BoarControl holding the lucky cat.
Oh! The Grand Slam!
Deadly. Oh, he got it. Oh, no, he didn't. Never mind.
No, he did not.
Oh, that looked like he pointed face beforehand.
There's a good kitty.
Yeah.
Is that Billy or Bessie? Sorry, our spectator feed is way too low quality for me to be able to distinguish Boar's cats. I think that's Bessie. Good Bessie.
Well fought. I can see.
There's the concede from Felkeine. Missing the deadly shot. Does it to end, and there we go. What? The best part is, it's like that was so close that game, and Boar's just like, ha, wrecked. It's like, you just take the win though. BoarControl further going now to a 3-1 score in his division, which is making him look fairly solid going forward. Whereas Felkeine going down to a 1-3 score, which is much less secure overall. But a close series. I think that last game was very, very, very close, of course. But just looking at it honestly from my end, Sottle, I feel like BoarControl just won the lineup fight. The lineups, the way the bans happened, I just feel like BoarControl was just in a good spot once all that was resolved there for BoarControl versus Felkeine.
Yeah, for sure. It actually took an amount of turns for me to realize just how low Felkeine was getting, because Boar wasn't really doing much to make Felkeine take damage. Felkeine was just hitting minions with his own weapons, and then there was some bombs going off that were all going face because Boar kind of had to clear boards manually because the bombs weren't cooperating. But in the end, the bombs all going face ended up, allowing Boar to have a situation where he could go face with his own Corcoran and then have that 66% to win 67% to win the game. I see you, Neil, before you correct me on that one. 67% to win the game at the end there with the deadly shot outcome. So, I think all things considered, the clears would have been more effective if they would have cooperated a bit more with the bombs for Boar, but he was still able to find a way through at the end with a hand that really did not feel like it was doing a great deal. That seemed like a very, subpar warrior draw in that scenario. Even though he did find the Ankar, he got really nothing else to support it alongside.
Right, yeah, and that's just the round out of the day here. We had Boston, Zim, and Silvername win pretty much must-win matchups. And taking the wins over Klento, Ardu, and Bunnyhopper respectively. And then BoarControl taking down Felkeine further, pushes him towards the top of his division. Felkeine, of course, could have done with that win, and it does put him to a 1-3 score. But I will say, Felkeine did put out one of the more funny games with that Demon Hunter versus Warrior in that series. That was definitely an interesting one, and we can see what the tables look like now. BoarControl, Yala, Psycho in Division A at the top there, looking pretty comfortable so far. Switch and Bunnyhopper in the middle, but then Silvername, Felkeine, and Huntrace on the bottom. Whereas Division B, I'm getting nervous just looking at it.
Casey's in second, but he's also in seventh. How does that work? Why is Europe such nonsense, Raven?
It is scary, isn't it? And imagine, if Zim actually just wins one more game and the others lose, or some of the others lose, it still just keeps it so close. And I do think, at least in Division B, the way it's looking is we're going to get so much closer, and it is going to come down to the last few days, the last weekend of the Grandmasters round robin. And then, of course, we have playoffs and then the relegation match as well. So it's all up in the air, and it's all tense, as is ever the case, it seems, in the European Grandmasters. But we are done for the day. We only had 4 matches, but don't you worry if this wasn't long enough for you. We have 5 more tomorrow and 5 the day after that. So plenty more Hearthstone as well as Americas coming up after this. But Sotil is the end of our day, which means,
before we transition to Americas, I would like to ask you guys to please subscribe to our Hearthstone Esports YouTube channel, becoming all the more important that this is the one that you are subscribing to now, and then also potentially ring that bell so that we can get all of those notifications out to you when we're going live. Also, make sure to check out all of our content, Hot Takes with me and TJ, The Curve with Raven, Gia's incredible Mullet Over series, which is some of the best content that we've had in Hearthstone overall, I think, and also Top 5 Moments with Derek. You can find it all on the Hearthstone Esports YouTube channel. Please do subscribe.
good job as ever, Sotil. But from Sotil and myself, we are done for the day. Thanks for watching. We hope you had a great time. And the TJ and Frodan will be following up very quickly with the Americas region. So don't go anywhere if you want some more Hearthstone action. But from us and today, we are going to be done. And we'll see you tomorrow.